called a Q word. Have you all figured this out? Under pressure, the things that you want to remember the most just seem to be the ones that we forget the fastest. The world's worst sounding thing ever is this: stress-induced amnesia. It does happen. And it doesn't just happen right on our horses. It happens to the young riders when they go to write their SAT. They know everything, but they get in the room, they get nervous, and then they leave the room going, oh, I got number 16 wrong, it just came to me. You know what? Nervousness takes our long-term memory away. Now, it's a bit of a shame because our coaches have so many wonderful things to teach us, and if we could just remember to do them, we're going to be fine. Do you all agree? So, riders, how can we make sure that the lessons that we have learned stay with us under pressure? Because it's then that they can help us to be our best. Well, while pressure may take our long-term memory away, something out there can bring it back, and that something is called a Q word. So what is a Q word? I'll give you a good example. This is what one rider does. When he jumps, he pops the turtle. He's got the big old turtle back. Not only that, he does something called a shotgun release. Instead of just shooting his hands forward, just shoot the release, he loads the gun first. He goes, okay? So over every fence, he goes, do you all agree, guys? If he could just remind himself to sit up tall, open his shoulder, bring his chest forward, flatten his back. And when it comes to the release, just push without first pulling, just give without first taking, just shoot the release without loading the gun. Is that all good stuff? I mean, it's really good. It's going to help him to be his best that day. But under pressure, do you think he has the ability to repeat that big long list of stuff to himself? It's too much. He's a little busy right now. So on the approach to every single fence, he's come up with a Q word. His Q word is star, S-T-A-R. On the approach to every fence, he says, be a star, I'm a star, jump like a star. To him, star, S-T-A-R, is an acronym, and it reminds him to sit tall and release. It reminds him to focus on those important things he's been taught to do. And if he can do that, he's going to jump well. So riders, here's your homework. I want you to think about the one or two things your trainers continually tell you to do, and I want you to understand, if they continually tell you to do it, you haven't done it yet. Okay? So what is it? What do they tell you to do? Keep your eyes up, heel. What is it? I want you to think about what you've repeatedly heard throughout the past, and I want you to come up with a 5-letter or fewer Q word that forms a sentence. So 5 or fewer letters forming a sentence. That's the rule for acronyms. Here's some examples. 3-letter Q words. One young rider, she gets nervous. She rides well at home, but gets nervous at the showgrounds when people watch. Her Q word is leg. L-E-G, I've got a strong leg. L-E-G, let everyone go. Ride my ride. It's a really good idea. Let them go. Focus on your ride. On the easy button at Staples is. You know the red and white easy button? So one rider, this is her story. She had Bend, Oregon. She had a bad fall at a horse show. She pulls up to her next week's horse show. She stops in the parking lot. She backs up, and she goes home. She doesn't want to compete this week because that bad memory's still in her head. 2 weeks later, she goes to the next horse show, parks in the parking lot, thinks about it, backs up, and goes home. She lost, right? She can't get back into the show arena, right? Her and her trainer came up with the world's greatest stress stopper. This is what they do. The rider finally gets to the showground. She's approaching. She's going to enter the in-gate there. The trainer stands by the in-gate to help her out. As the rider, who is nervous, approaches the in-gate, the trainer pulls out the stop button, the actual stop button, the real one from Staples. It's that red thing, right? The rider walks up. As she enters the box, she pushes it, and it goes, that was easy. It literally says, like, super cheesy, right? The rider pushes it. They both have a good little laugh. That rider now enters the arena with a smile on her face. And then in her circus, they're becoming known as the easy chicks, because the easy button, I don't know, that's good. But people are literally like, oh, there they are, that's the two of them, hang out. Oh, they did it, that's so cool. You know what that is? It's a stress stopper. That little pushing of the button, that stops the stress. That changes their focus from nervousness to something different. And that something different is, that was easy. I got myself to the showground. Riders, all of you are going to get nervous. And understand this, guys. It's important for us to be nervous from time to time. We need the butterflies in the stomach. There is one common reason for nerves, and you know what that is? Because you care. So understand this. If you've ever been nervous before, normally what happens when we're nervous, we feel like we're not very good. We're letting show jitters get to us. Oh my gosh, I wish I could stop the nerves. Next time you're nervous, I want you to ask yourself, really, what's the root of this? And you know what it is? It's because you care. Because if you approach every competition like this, whatever, I don't care. Do y'all agree you're in trouble? You know why? You're not quite nervous enough. So riders, if you've ever been feeling nervous before, please don't misinterpret that as show jitter performance anxiety. It's okay to feel a little bit of nerves, but you all agree it's important to control how much nerves that we feel? Cue words in the songs, if you can do these, it will help. I mean, it's fantastic how helpful it can be. But you all agree it can only help if you remember to do those things? Riders, did you realize that up to 80% of every single thing you hear every day, you're going to forget? Up to 80% of everything you hear for the rest of our lives, we're going to forget. Are we going to allow our horses, our sport, and our own confidence be part of what we forget today? It means too much to us. So what can we do to make sure that what you heard today stays with you? Well, pay it forward. Because while you might forget up to 80% of everything you hear every day, we remember up to 90% of everything we teach. Up to 90% of everything you teach, you process to long-term memory. So look around the room. Who is in here? Who got stuck at the airport this morning? The next time you see that person, what do I want you to do? I want you to teach them what you heard today. Because if you teach it, you can't remember. One of my riders proves it. She used to forget her courses until she started to teach her course to somebody. That somebody was her horse. So she's like this. All right, we got a long one from 1 to 2, so we got to get motivated earlier. But quickly balance after 2 because we got the tight roll back to 3. Right before 3, you're going to feel a little bit of my inside leg and a half off because we got the tight bending connect to the Oxford form. She literally teaches that to her horse, and she goes, ever since I've been teaching it, I've never forgotten the course. Can you all agree getting it out of your mouth is helpful? Riders, I want you to remember what you heard today. I want you to leave this room and I want you to pass it forward. I want you to spread the message, all right? Now, the last thing I want you to do is I want you to build your brand. This is what the whole seminar comes together to right now. Build your brand. How do we do that? Riders, I want you to take your 4 pieces of homework, your song, your keyword, your cadence, your stress stopper. I want you to bring them all together, and I want you to link them together to something common, and then come up with your brand, your logo. Very confusing, so I'll give you an example. Remember the rider who did super? Her keyword was super. Succeed under pressure every ride. She built the super brand, and this is how she did it. Her keyword is super. Her song is Superman by R.E.M. The motivating message out of the lyrics from a song is, you're my Superman, not my minivan. That's what she says to her horse. She is 72 years old. Underneath her show clothes, guess what she wears? A Superman t-shirt. Do you see what she's done, guys? She's built a super brand. She's taken all 4 things that she heard today. She linked them together through the common use of the word super, and then she came up with a logo. Guess what's embroidered on her saddle pad? The Superman S is right there. Because she can't approach a horse without seeing the saddle pad. On the saddle pad is the S. She sees the S. She goes, succeed under pressure every ride. You're my Superman, not my minivan. Got my shirt on? Wonder Woman, ready to go. That's literally what she does. You know what?